So the music stopped. That means that I'm going to take over. Welcome, everybody. Today we'll do a little workshop in a journey through building and testing and doing CI of smart contracts, but also testing of the Dapp UIs, like automated testing of the UI specifically. And we're going to do that using a piece of Tenderly technology called DevNets, and you'll see it all as we go along. This QR code that you're seeing on the screen, if you could scan it, it will give you a link to a Notion page, which has a walkthrough through the workshop itself. Let me know if that works or doesn't work for any reason. So I'll just wait a bit for that. Okay, works. And I suggest if you could open it on your laptop, because during the workshop you will need it. So let's get that set up. All good there? Okay, now I will do an unorthodox thing. I will ask you all to stand up and to approach. Sorry? Yes, everybody has to be like close. And while you're getting here, the agenda says 2 hours. I think we'll finish sooner, so that leaves us time for more questions or trying something together. But for now, if you could all approach here closer to me. As you know, the workshop is a little bit about building and testing and what happens to that in the world of Web3. So I would just like to see the movement in your experience and your thoughts and views on testing. And we're going to do it like that. I will say a statement, and whoever wants to say yes goes to this side. Whoever wants to say no goes to that side. Let's try this out. I came here on a horse today. Oh, where did you park it? Yeah? All right. I have written tests in the past.
Out here.
Yeah. Get your bodies moving a bit. All right. I was made to write tests in the past. I do think it's a good idea to write tests. You're the one of the, I'd rather revert. Yeah. I've used or set up a CI in the past. Okay. All right, so today I'm hoping that everybody will be standing on this side of the room, because we will write some tests, we will see some tests fail, we'll set up some CI. So now that we know the feelings about testing, that's cool. One last thing. I'm familiar with Hardhat. Hardhat. All right? And I'm not familiar with React. Okay, hardhat people, no front-end people. All right. So the best way to go through this is actually to work with somebody in a pair. So if you want to, you can just randomly pair up and go through the workshop together. Maybe just the person closest to you. He doesn't count. He's a. This is Philip. He'll be helping out.
I'll join in.
All right. So I had fun. Hope you had fun as well. Let's see. Let's spend a little more time, and maybe you and your partner could discuss 2 questions: testing, yes, no, and why. And most importantly, what's your experience with testing in Web3? Or what would you like it to be if it's not that? So we have 5 minutes for this. Chat away. Of course, you will be sharing with the group afterwards, so no pressure.
It depends.
That's not an acceptable answer.
Usually, yes.
Yeah, you can make a...
The lower the list.
Sometimes it's just test introduction.
I mean, therefore, yeah, if you don't have time, ideally,
No, if it doesn't matter.
If you just,
If it's a real contract.
if you want to optimize your speed and the risk is low of failing and what you're building has no product market fit yet, then
Yeah, if it's just like to test fetch data.
but most of the time,
that will add more of it
Test.
always. At least on a couple of unit tests, then you don't need to worry.
Experience. Well, I just use Power.
Yeah.
It's like it's a bit. I was starting doing tests at the same time that Foundry was coming up. So I just
No, I think you have to use our history.
yeah, it's not too bad.
I only played with Foundry. I've done Truffle in the past, which is a long time ago.
Yeah, I
And
have
then
some
hard hacks.
You're speechless. You got 3 more minutes, so I can cut it shorter.
Do you guys prefer hard hack or Foundry for tests? Why? Speed?
No, also, yeah, I mean, you can do all the operations, like all the cheat codes on the image. You can set up like an algorithm
can do
with
it
the
as
amount of
well. It's just
sound.
the white test line.
Makes things easier.
I like that you are previously, so you just don't have to think with language.
Context switching on like languages, yes,
It's true, yeah. I haven't done much Foundry, it's when I've done this for a couple of years, so that's, in my mind, it's normal mode. You're right, it's 2 different languages for the same thing.
No, but even on this setup, I mean, with Foundry, you can just set up your EVM as you want, like some states, like one whole, boom, you can set up like storage, something, an algorithm that balance.
I
That's
don't
much.
I don't know if other test is limitation. Foundry you can test solidity below 0.5 because it doesn't have support. I was before that less for this one. Yeah, for the old ones. Most of the tests are which is even worse. Because you can't even compile.
Not yet.
It's
Yet.
more about the front end interacting with smart contracts.
So
How do we test the front end? I don't try out. I don't do front ends to be honest.
Manually, if I did.
I just still look at it and if it looks nice.
And I think there's also security considerations there. And Annabelle's
if I want to mute myself, how can I do that?
Yeah, if somebody hacked third-party dependency or a project, like
Right.
up a Dapp, and just like hard-coded the hacker address into there, and then they waited until you click a certain button in the UI, so we're kind of used to this button triggering a MetaMask pop-up and just signing. We've done it a few times.
We'll need a mic now. 10 seconds left. Closing the discussion.
All they need was their code, but they certainly
And time.
from their code that was delivered.
Let's share the impressions from the discussions you had. Who wants to share something with the group? No?
I just joined
You just joined? Okay. You guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were just talking about how testing became easier, in our opinion, when Foundry came out, because
Mhm.
it's just it was easier than hard hat for us, at least.
Yeah. All right. And is there something from your experience that's missing in the Web3 testing?
What we just said.
Oh, no, not that. No?
I'm on the spot now.
All right, let's put the pressure down. You guys had a lively discussion. Maybe you want to share something?
About something that's missing?
Yeah, or anything that you concluded from talking about testing. Why and why not?
Well, about the why, we had some, I think it's a spectrum of yes, no. I mean, it's on there. Usually you should write them. I had a bit more the opinion that you should write them unless there's no risk and you're not working on it. You really just want to learn something optimized for speed. But most of the time you want to optimize for security as the code is handling money.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're discussing how to test.
Mm-hmm.
Like I learned testing with Truffle many years ago and stopped at hard hat. So Foundry is kind of new for me, so I learned a bit about the advantages of Foundry. But yeah, at the end of the day, testing's good.
Yeah.
Do it.
This is good. Do it. I think that's a solid conclusion there. Yeah. All right. So now let's get into the workshop. Let me tell you about what we're doing today. So today, you and your group, you get a little project. It's not mini safe. I'm sorry. It's mini multisig, and essentially what it is, it's well a little UI that a team has made. Sorry, this is, for some reason, this is not mirroring.
Unplug it, plug it in again.
Yeah, maybe that might help. All right, it's not that. Ah, there we go. It's the PowerPoint. Okay, so essentially what this is, it's a UI that a imaginary team has built, and what it does, it's a little multisig. So I will connect it through MetaMask. Okay, now MetaMask is giving me a hard time. Okay, not wasting time on this, but you can imagine that it is a multisig similar to Safe. So you have options to create multisigs, to set owners, to add transactions, to approve them, execute them, everything that a multisig is. And your task is to take over the code base and to see where it's at, if there are any bugs, to fix it, and to go through some testing. And now let's just spend some time on the architecture overview. So we had one bit that is hardhat and two important contracts, multisig factory and multisig wallet. And the piece of infrastructure that's used here, for example, for testing and for staging the contracts is tenderly DevNet. So that's a piece of infrastructure that we'll be using today. I'll explain that in a bit, but you can imagine that this command, run tenderly DevNet new, actually takes mainnet, adjusts it a little bit, and gives you your own private testnet version of it. So imagine like you're having your Sepolia on demand, but it's just for you. You can manipulate the balances, the ERC20 tokens, and all that stuff. And you get an RPC link that you can use so you can actually test your code on the DevNet. So that's the first bit of infrastructure, the layer of smart contracts. How DevNets work, as I said, you can take an actual network such as mainnet, and these represent transactions, and you can write a little YAML file that is your declarative way of telling us, hey, I want to set up this, taking DevNet, taking the mainnet, but I want these accounts to have this much test ETH. I want these smart contracts to have some storage slots overridden by these values. So we just take the YAML, and when you want to spin it up, we do a couple of transactions that set it up. So in a way, it's a fixture of the network that you need for testing or doing some transaction scenarios and stuff like that. And the cool thing is, if you will spin up a DevNet and you get an RPC and you can use it, but then after a while you want to start over, so you can just spin up a new one and it sets it up in an identical way. So using a little bit of declarative stuff in there in the YAML. That's all about the architecture for now. There is the Next.js app that I failed to run, but we don't need it for the first segment of the workshop. So we can see that later. And for now, in the next, let's say, 15 to 20 minutes, you can go through sections 1, 2, and 3 of the workshop guide. First one is about the project setup and the dependencies you need, including cloning the repository that you as a team are taking over. The second is setting up a DevNet for yourself, and the third one is bringing DevNets to the hard hit. So, go. If you have any issues in the meantime, you can call Philip or myself, and we'll just hop over and help you get through them.
Did I miss some URL?
So 15 minutes now. Who came a bit later? Here's the QR code with the Notion doc with the workshop guide. So scan it, open it on your laptop, because there will be lots of commands you should copy, actually. Let's do a little show of hands. Who managed to go through step 1? Okay. Step 2, the DevNet template. Okay. Who's stuck on npm install? We need something better. Yeah, I think this is the lengthiest part of this workshop because it's downloading so much. And somebody managed to finish the section 3 to bring it to Hardhat. Okay, take your time because we need to go through all of these.
Just waiting for it to install.
It's not working on Windows.
The CLI?
Like this is my question.
You got all the dependencies yet? Try my phone.
It's still on 104, it's still resolving packages. Still resolving packages. I don't know why it's so slow.
I'll check the file size of the node modules folder once it's done. You probably know. I'm doing it with my phone now.
Did you, change it? It's like you were trying to connect like to your remote.
So while we're comfortably waiting for npm install to complete, I'll just go through the interface to show you around what's actually happening when you do the DevNet. So you've done the YAML configuration, and you've probably seen here that we have some wallets with some private keys exposed. And don't worry, it's just stupid wallets we use for end-to-end tests, so not used for anything else. And they have some balances overridden. So we use that one to configure the DevNet so end-to-end tests could actually work. And another peculiar thing here is that we've overridden the chain ID. So we did take mainnet, but we didn't keep the chain ID 1. Why? Because we want to prevent replay attacks. Even though these transactions will come from these completely irrelevant wallets, it's a good practice to just prevent this from ever happening. And when you get to the step where you actually bring bring DevNet to the Hardhat, you will run a command that will give you, well, one of these, which we call runs. So we take the template and we spin up a new DevNet. And you can see a bunch of things here. Let me just zoom in because the resolution is off. So you can see all the balance overrides that you specified. You can see the contract creation over here. You can go into classical, more of a block explorer kind of thing where you can see the transactions. well, nothing interesting here at this point, but will be later. And you can see JSON RPC calls. So if something fails in there, those calls should be visible. So those are all the calls that are sent by wherever, whoever uses the RPC. So you can actually see that and analyze as well. So just wanted to go through this a bit, and TV says enough. So keep going, and let's say in a couple of minutes we switch to the next stages of the workshop.
Is that interface UI only, or is there CLI that can have the same information, the RPC calls and stuff?
Yeah, so the question was just for the stream, if the interface is the UI only or there's a CLI. Yes, there is the CLI that you just installed. It's got a command that spins up a new DevNet. So you would define a template in the UI, and then you would use a CI to say, hey, generally spin up a new DevNet from this template. And this is exactly what that command hardhat DevNet new, or whatever it was, does.
Got it.
npm install done?
750 megabytes.
Sorry?
It was almost a gigabyte for me.
Yeah.
750. Both node modules for it combined.
Hello.
Mhm.
On the log.
Not you.
Yeah.
Tendering logins, I think. So they
fine,
I
it's
tried
not.
also email. And I don't know.
They actually know how to make
I tried also install it. one on the UI directly.
Okay.
So you copied it, right? Nothing. Okay, I copied there.
Stuck. If you're too stuck, raise your hand. Nobody's too stuck. That's good. Okay, so let's just wrap it up. The first part was very painful because we had a lot of configuration to do. There was prettier issues and stuff like that. But by now, hopefully you're. Let me just get this out of the way. Yeah, but by now you should probably have this multi-sig factory contract deployed on your DevNet, and we can take the workshop further. So one thing that I would like to sort of look into now is the way that that we can actually use the CLI to deploy a new DevNet and also to deploy new contracts. So in this step 3, you had this command that runs this npm script, tenderly devnet new, and now you see it, no you don't. On this project mini multisig, using this template mini multisig tests, using this chain ID for it. So when I go to my hardhead, this is the lower window down here. If I just run this command, what happens there is that, and now let me go into the VS Code. Here's the hardhead. So I'm getting the configuration of the DevNet's RPC. I'm also getting the exact chain ID because hardhead has to know the exact chain ID of the network it's connecting to, otherwise it doesn't work. So if you don't have this number here or in the DevNet template, then you have to do the whole thing and reconfigure it again. And the second script that you have ran by now is this. Hardhead scripts deploy network to the network tenderly. So if I go back here and run it, again, you get the contract in there. Now, what this script does is, besides deploying it, also verifying the contract on tenderly, so you can actually have debugging and all the cool stuff that you need. And now for the next step, this is why we waited for so long for npm install. You will actually run an end-to-end test. So let me just kill this thing over here. So I'm switching over to the front-end folder, and whoops. And I'm just running npm run test, and it's starting. So you can do this command alongside with me because hopefully you're done with the first 3. And what's happening is that we're running an end-to-end test that's written relying on synthetics wrapper around Cypress and Cypress and Playwright. So what it does, it takes the Chromium browser, the longest awaited install that you had, adds MetaMask, and then you can actually write tests that interact with the wallet. So you can test every single step in the flow of the UI using an actual wallet and a little network that's behind it. So as this thing runs, well, this is somebody proposing a transaction, and then the transaction shows up, and then that person approves it, and then there's a switch in the address. So now you'll see one green box, and here's another one, and then there's somebody who will do something. Come on. Something should happen now, but it's not really happening. Yeah, anyhow, you saw how this can actually go through the steps of executing an end-to-end test and actually messing with the UI. And the cool thing about it is when you go back to the browser, so this is the latest run, all of these transactions that we did end up here, actually. So these are the three transactions that successfully happened. So the thing that the UI froze a bit here means that there is a bug, that the team who did this, and I'm the team, left an error in there for you to find and fix. And there's also one little issue here. If you notice, oh, the tests have failed, that's cool. If you notice, you may or may not have your contract verified here. So this call multisig factory create, that creates a new contract. And these three are the calls to the very multisig. Now what happened, the verification, the very, very oldest problem didn't succeed. So what you can do is you can go in here into this transaction and you can go view details. And yes, it is the creation because we can see these are the owners, these are the signatures required. So from here we can see actually the parameters. If you go to the events, you will see the create event if you scroll a bit down, and there will be a contract address. So here it is, you can copy it. And after that, to make this thing verified, going back to Hardhat. So this is terminal in the Hardhat. No, it's not. Let me go back here. So what we could do here is npx Hardhat, verify existing multisig, blah, blah, blah. I will leave this command on the screen. So if you run this one with the address that you picked up from the dashboard, it should verify your contract so you can see actually everything decoded. So if you get that glitch, you can rely on this command. So you can proceed by running the test yourself, play around with it, see why it failed, try to fix the test. We have, let's say, 20 minutes for this, tops.
No, account ID, well, that's a good question. Maybe you can do the, who am I?
No, that includes like the username, which is the bottom.
But you're not logged in, so we can't run it. verified contract? For me, it's a
If,
different address.
if it is not verified,
It's not.
you should.
And then I just replace this address with
Yeah.
this one?
I know that's the multi-sig factory. You should
Ah,
go to
okay.
this transaction over here.
multiple addresses.
So let's pick up the pace, and I will just go through some of the issues that are present in there. So the first one was you saw it when I ran the test. It sort of hanged. It couldn't find account 5, and I would be lying if this was intended. It was not, but it was an accident. Yeah, something changed in the meantime. So one thing that we could do is actually what is happening in there. So the test, what it does, it switches to account 3. That's one of those that we loaded with tests ETH. And then we we did the interaction with the UI to create a new multisig with these 3 owners and 2 required signatures. And then what we did, we proposed a transaction, the one that's pure profit, just sending some value to an address, never mind which one. And then we're approving transaction as this first account, number 3. Then we're switching over to account number 4 for it to approve the transaction as well. And then we attempted switching to account 5, which for some reason didn't exist. So this can be easily resolved if you just replace this by either 3 or 4. Ta-da.
So 4 is the multisig?
Sorry?
Count 4 is the multisig?
No, it's just 3 different signers that we added. And in MetaMask, on that drop down, they're called account 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, there's no 5. So this is how it shows up in the MetaMask extension when you want to switch over the accounts. And what happens then, we're funding the multisig, and now that we have our 2 confirmations out of 2 expected, executing a transaction should go through. So now that I changed this, I can run the tests again. And is it on? It's on. And it does look a little spooky when you see your browser doing things with MetaMask, right? I think if we had like a wallet specifically for this type of thing, it wouldn't be so scary.
You should have warned us first.
That's
Big warning.
true. Yeah.
I'm like, what have I done?
Yeah, but honestly, it's happening in Chromium, so there's nothing, it's not touching anything of your stuff.
That's exactly what the thief would say.
I would never. Yeah, so now there we are, we're approving the first one, and second approval. And now we have the funding of the multisig because we need them to, and now it hangs, the execute never happens. So now if you open up the inspector and if you go into the console, oops, I closed that one down, but we don't need it. We can see here that the contract function reverted, insufficient number of confirmations, cannot execute transaction. So this over here is sort of indicative that, yes, we did have 2, it appears we had 2 confirmations, but this thing fails over there for some reason. Now, if we go into the dashboard, and if I go into this latest run, well, I still don't have this verified, so let me go through that again. I will open up this transaction, multisig factory create. And I'm going to go into details because I need to get the address of the new multisig, and I can get that by opening events and scrolling down. I can see here, oh, get out. I can see here that there's the create event, and then there's the contract address. I'm copying it. And going back to Hardhat, verify existing. So this little task that you can find in the Hardhat config file, if I do this, now we have it verified. And moving back and reloading. So now we have submit, confirm, confirm, and those are the 3 successful ones that we saw in the UI, but there is a failing one, apparently. And I don't want to even go into the failed JSON RPC calls here because too many. What we can do is actually the next phase, and that's the local hard hat testing. So we've been through the local end-to-end, and now in the section 5, you can very quickly run hard hat tests if you haven't already. Anybody did the step 5 of the flow in the Notion? All right, so I think it'll take you like 5 minutes tops to complete that one. And there's no MetaMask popping up, I promise. Sorry? And And did you find a failing transaction? And did you find a bug? Would you like more time, yes or no?
I think just number of signatures required, checks somehow wrong. Suspicion that it's here.
New transactions. Yeah, it should be by default.
Fix it instead of,
Yeah, I think that's it.
which line?
The last new required is like. No, no.
The solution and the bug are very close, so I'll do the same thing. So right now I'm running the hardcat tests locally, and as you've seen, it's actually sending everything over to the DevNet. And while this is running, I will quickly go over that. Test TS. So these are practically the hardcat tests, and in this fixture or setup, what we're doing is we're deploying the multisig, so testing the multisig, waiting for it to get deployed. And from within the test, we're actually asking Tenderly to verify the contract so we could debug the transactions that are going on there. And there's also the funding transaction. And now we have a bunch of tests. The ones that we particularly care about is this one, because this one failed, or will have failed. Let's see, yeah. So accepts execution with required approval number. So this is the one. Well, this one fails. And to debug it, to figure out if there's an issue in the smart contract, we can actually hop over to the DevNet. And oops, this is the one. And enter the latest run. And now this transaction doesn't show up in this overview here because it has failed. But what we can do is we can find the, what is it here? The JSON RPC call that should have been that transaction. And if you scroll down a bit and skip over some of these JSON RPC calls, you should see here a failed ETH send transaction. And what the cool thing is, besides seeing all the information about that JSON RPC call, you can hop into the debugger, and from there you can actually see the message and jump exactly to the line where the thing failed. Now I guess, and I assume that most of you already had the solution that this sign over here was off, but this was just we entertained this idea just to show you the way that you can spot the transaction that failed, the way that you can reach the debugger and, you know, have a little bit of easier time figuring out what went wrong. And one little tool that can help that is Evaluate, something awesome in 2023 that you can use to, well, evaluate expressions. So if I paste this here and hit Evaluate, we'll get the result, all right? And also if I modify this into a little array or a tuple by adding a comma and wrapping it into brackets, if I evaluate again, I can see that we have 2 confirmations, 2 required signatures, so this one should have been executed. And again, the fix for that is going to the multisig wallet contract line 159 and adding greater than or equal to sign, but there was also a solution in the Notion doc. If you looked for it, you found it. I just wanted to give you a little walkthrough through the tools that you can use in this process. So now, with the bug fix in place, if we run these tests, they should be successfully executed. There we go. The wallet is funded, and now it runs it one by one. It is significantly slower than running it on a local node, but it does give you the way to visually go through the issues and figure out what the heck is going on. And before the last part, now let's just wait for this one to, yay, all the tests are successful, so our job is done here. And now it's testing the factory, but we don't need to wait for that one. So that was all cool, but one question actually that I want to address before we go on to the last segment, and that's the CI, is how did Hardhat and frontend actually collaborate? Because you've seen that we have this, we had that script that deploys the contracts onto Tenderly, but how does the frontend learn about where the contract is? How does the frontend learn about the RPC, and how does it add the RPC in there at all? So let me just quickly open this up in my browser, so outside of the tests. Here we are. Here it says wrong network. So what you can see here, we use the Rainbow Connect, and here you can actually add the RPC, such as this one, as an option for connection. So this is test tenderly based on mainnet with a different chain ID. So if I click it, this is the first MetaMask pop-up, and you can see the weird chain ID we're connecting to. You can see the RPC link of Tenderly. So if I hit approve, that network will, okay, I need to also allow it a bit to switch. And now we are on that particular DevNet. So whatever you do here, for example, create multisig, it, whoops. When I hit create, well, this should execute, this should run. Ah, there we go. There's a confirmation and a little to it, pretty much done. So it's, when building UI, we're trying out UI, when doing some sort of testing, then this thing can speed it up and gives you a nice way to understand the issues coming from smart contracts when you're building the UI, so closing the cycle in that sense. And now the question remains from the technical side, how did the Next.js app, the thing that we're seeing here, how does it know about the RPC, and how does it know that the multisig factory is where it actually is? So the trick to that, the big question to that is actually, where did I put that one? Here. So it's a little bit annoying. It's practically the configuration management. So when you deploy a new DevNet from that Hardhat module, it spins up here, but you have to somehow let the front end know where that network is. And the second bit is when you run the deploy script, which is over here, the thing that you can't properly see, it deploys the contracts on the DevNet, but how do you let the front end know where the contract is? And one of the simplest way, and I can just show you how it's done here, in the deploy script, what we have here is after after the multi-sig factory contract is deployed, we await for that, we verify it, and then we're collecting all the ABIs and the addresses and just simply plain out writing that file into the front-end repository. This is like the stupidest but the most effective way that I have found to achieve it. So, and if you want to have more elaborate config management schemas, go for it, and let me know what you do there, because I like to know. So this is the bit that ties the hard hat and everything to the front end, and yeah, it's somewhat important to make that happen, especially if you have like a separation of who in your team does contracts and who in your team does front end. This is just like a very super easy way to give them staged contracts whenever you develop something, or whenever you evolve contracts in a way. So that was the bit about the configuration management. And the next and the final segment that we have here, setting up the CI. So I'm also assuming this won't take more than 15 minutes, and I'll give you like 10 minutes to do it, and then I'll walk around and bug you or help out if you get stuck. So the CI, I guess you've done it, or if not, it should be fairly straightforward. I would like to just briefly reflect on what we did, and maybe you guys have some closing considerations or reflections that you would like to share. So what we did, we used the tech of Tenderly DevNets, which practically allow you to take a network, spin up your own like private version of it, and you can customize it by using a little bit of YAML, a little bit of declarative style of configuration. So whenever you run either your local tests, whether it's smart contract tests or UI tests, or you're just running deploy scripts to test them out, to try them out, and to debug them, you can plug in DevNets in any of those workflows. And the cool thing is, because they are created on demand via CLI, you can easily plug it into the CI and have all that machinery coming together for your tests. Is there any insight or reflection or idea that you would like to share, or a question you'd like to ask? Doesn't look so. All right. In that case, oh, yeah, we have a question. Yeah, can you just wait for a mic, please?
Does Tenderly provide something similar, like a local Etherscan? I could like, I mean, I know the Tenderly way I can go through, but something more, let's say, simple, or like, is there something like that?
Like local Etherscan.
Yeah, basically for my spinned up RPC.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, there is that bit that shows you all the transactions that are executing.
Yeah.
So if that's what you mean, there's that. There's also, like, in the DevNet, you have a simulator practically calling contracts, either write or read methods of the contracts. So in that sense, it allows you to look at what's happened and interact with the contracts in a simulation sort of manner. Yeah. Is anybody closer to writing more tests in the future? Yeah, okay. I see a couple of people smiling, so I take that as a yes. Yeah, we have a question there.
How do I add funds, testing funds, to some specific addresses?
Sorry, can you bring the mic closer?
Yes.
I couldn't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
How do I add testing funds to my keys, like before like testing suite starts?
All right. So you would do that. Let me just go back here. So one thing that you have in your YAML configuration is like this section called wallets or contracts or whatever, and you can provide either private. Oops. Yeah, this is what I'm showing. So you have this wallet section in the YAML config. So there you can either set up balances for the private keys or for the addresses of the wallets and contracts that you want to top up. And let me show you just another bit in here. So what you can actually do is you can override the storage slots of particular contracts. So set an address, get the hex of the storage slots. For now, it's just a hex, and the value you want to override it with. Also, you can override the ERC20 balances. This is the ERC20 contract, and I want to set that the address 0 has 100 dies, for example, in a DevNet. So in this way, you can do customization in that regard through the YAML file only.
And there is a button in the network that says fund account, so you can
Yeah, there's also that.
Awesome, thanks.
Yeah, so here, for example, if you look at this, you can just paste an address and it bumps it up. We have another question here.
You also have a ERC20 faucet. Like, for example, for USDC. In theory, you could manipulate the chain like that, that you can give yourself USDC.
You can manipulate the DevNet chain, the one
Yeah,
that
yeah,
we're...
that's
yeah,
what-
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So in that YAML file, there was this little bit, now it's out, but let me open it again. There's this little bit ERC20, so you can actually set the amount of ERC20 for particular addresses.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
so this address, that much.
And also,
Yeah.
like, there is a customer receipt, for example, increase time of node, change anything, any configuration for that is really cool. For example, for some proposals, testing, change dates, decentralized, right? Complex scripts there.
So you support all the hardhat EVM commands?
Yeah, and even more, like there is even more like custom ones, which is technically specific. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm just trying to open up those specific JSON RPCs that we have. There's, for example, add balance, set balance RPC, so you can do it via an RPC call. There's increasing the timestamp, there's increasing the block number, so you can actually tell them, hey, pretend like 50 blocks are mined, and now receive my transaction. So stuff like that. So it gives you really a lot of tools to play around with the actual thing.
Yeah, you can imagine it as like main a copy or support a copy that you can, like your own copy of that network that you can configure in any way. So like a local version of mainnet.
Yeah, so these are the funky ones. All right, we have 1 more minute, so I think it's time to wrap it up. Thank you everybody for the workshop. Thank you for the patience and for waiting for NPM to install. Hope you had fun, and hope you do more testing in the future in a pleasant way. And would like to talk to you guys on a coffee break or something if you have ideas or want to share impressions. Highly appreciative of that. So thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the conference.